right, everybody. Welcome back to B&B's Football Happy Hour. We're here. We're bearded. We are beautiful. And I am Bobby with my man, Brian, as always.
Glad to be back. We finally reached 1,000-point pinnacle to our Facebook following, so that's always great.
1,000 members.
So,
Woo!
yeah, man, that was pretty good. We had a nice little push there from last week.
Loved it. We were stuck at $9.99 for like a half an hour, and I was dying.
Yeah, it felt forever. I think I updated my phone like 10 times at least. I was like, it's got to be over 1,000 by now. So
easily. Well, we have an awesome show coming up. Of course, we're going to review the games that Week 8 held for us, and we have an awesome guest coming up here in a little bit, a host for Sirius XM Fantasy Radio, Anthony Aniano. He's a big-time guy in the industry, so we are going to be able to hit on a lot of key points and key questions you might have in your fantasy world, and I cannot wait to speak to this guy. I listen to him almost every morning driving to work. He's got 2 or 3 days a week. He's on Sirius Fantasy Radio from 6 to 7 in the morning. He does some other stuff, so I am so pumped to have him on the show.
Yeah, man, should be another good one. So we'll get guess we'll break these games down first, and then we'll once he pops on, we'll give him our platform.
You got it. So let's start off Thursday night, Falcons and Panthers. Dude, Matt Ryan is so untrustworthy. You have no idea when he's going to do well, when he's not. He's definitely not going to play well if Julio Jones isn't in a lineup. And he's got 17 points the last 2 weeks. He really irritates me. A lot of guys this week irritated me. Brian Hill, don't know if you noticed, again, he outrushed Todd Gurley. Hill went 11 for 55. Gurley only ran for 46 yards. Now, granted, he did get a touchdown, but we're talking Brian Hill averaged 5.5 yards a carry. Gurley averaged 2.6 yards a carry. Not great. Julio Jones did Julio Jones thing, 7 for 137. Calvin Ridley fell off a little bit, a lot of bit. 3 for 42. And Hayden Hurst, he made it 3 weeks in a row with double-digit points. He got 5 for 54. And, Brian, I know you just dropped him, I think, in our B&B's Football Happy Hour League. So, yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about that move?
I'm not too worried about it. He's doing better now than from when I had him, but it's still, I don't know. I think he's going to be you just can't trust him. I don't know. As soon as you put him in there, he'll go 2 for 18 or something like that. So
is the tight end position in fantasy football this year. And then for the for the Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater, he was a huge letdown. You really thought that he was going to have a nice week against the terrible Falcons defense. He did not. I started in one of my leagues. I had somebody on a bye, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be an awesome spot start for Teddy Bridgewater. It was not. He threw for 176 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick.
Yeah.
Ugh, gosh, terrible. Now, Mike Davis, he did pretty good this past week, and he did a great job filling in for C-Mac. So we got to pour a little bit out for Mike Davis because I'm pretty sure Christian McCaffrey is going to be back this coming week. Hopefully, as we talked before on the show, they're going to still give Mike Davis touches. He deserves them. We'll see how smart Matt Rule and that coaching staff is. And obviously, when you only throw for 176 yards, all the wide receivers underperformed. DJ Moore, 2 for 55. Robbie Anderson, 5 for 48. Now, Curtis Samuel, obviously, he comes out of nowhere. It gives you a 4 for 31, which is no big deal, but he got a touchdown. And then he had 3 carries for 23 yards, no big deal. But oh, wait, another touchdown. Get out of here, Curtis Samuel. You get on my nerves.
Yeah, this game was kind of a little sloppy, I guess. It was raining out in Charlotte, so like you said, I picked up Bridgewater in one of the leagues too. Didn't give me nothing really. To be honest, I'm a Gurley owner, and I was watching this game. It was kind of weird that they kind of just took him out for no reason for a while. It seemed like 2 or 3 series. I think he might have been just standing on the sideline with his helmet on, so that was kind of odd.
He's only averaging 2.5 yards a carry. They should take him out. Brian Hill's a better runner than him now. He's more explosive.
Yeah, in real football, but in fantasy football, you can't take out Gurley. He leads the NFL in touchdowns, I think, doesn't he?
Wow.
So,
I
I
don't.
mean,
I feel you in fantasy football, but I'm sitting here.
in
I
real
mean,
life
if
football,
you
yeah, maybe, but I don't know.
Gurley couldn't take the corner if nobody was there. Brian
Yeah.
Hill's got so much more juice and so much more pop. They really need to get Brian Hill more carries.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think he is. I mean, over the last couple of weeks, he has been getting more carries. So I think they're eventually going to maybe lean on him more. And then maybe Gurley might just be kind of like a red zone guy. I don't know. Maybe just that touchdown or bust guy, but we'll see. That's what it's looking like from here on out. But yeah, McCaffrey should be back. I guess this week, right? So
I think so.
yeah, Mike Davis has kind of been on the decline a little bit in the past couple weeks. So I think that decision is pretty easy anyway to put C-Mac back in there. So we'll see. Davis will still take some carries from C-Mac, but
He deserves.
yeah, he deserves it for the first couple weeks. And then I think once McCaffrey gets rolling, it'll probably be back to business as usual for him probably with his
I'm sure.
workload.
I'm sure.
All
All right.
right.
Next game, we got the Vikings and Packers. Kirk Cousins stinks. He scored 15 points, 26 points, had a bye week, and then he got you 10 points this past week, which is bucking the trend that our friend Joe Pisapia told us about with Kirk Cousins being great in October and November. But honestly, man, why throw the ball when you can give Dalvin Cook 30 carries for 163 yards, 3 touchdowns? I mean, he ran all over the Packers defense. He also had 3 catches for 63 yards, and guess what? A fourth touchdowns. The Vikings ran 49 plays, and 32 of them went to Dalvin Cook. Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, they obviously struggled mightily. They combined for 6 catches for 53 yards. Combined. If one of them got those, you're kind of upset about it. And they only had 11 completions as a team. Meanwhile, the Packers, who lost the game, but Rodgers continues to play well. He was threw for 291, 3 touchdowns. 10 different players caught a pass this week, unlike last week when Devontae Adams basically caught everything. Robert Tonyan, not Tanyan, Tonyan came out. He did well, 5 for 79. Obviously, Adams is a go-to guy. He had only 7 catches, and I say only because he had, 13 last week. And it was only for 53 yards, but 3 of those 7 catches were for touchdowns. And Jamal Williams continues to sub in admirably for the injured Aaron Jones. 75 rush yards and 6 catches for 27 more yards.
Yeah, this was a tough game too. I watched it. This game had a little bit of seemed like it was like super windy or something like that. I don't know. Some of Rogers' throws were like, sailing over guys' heads. But yeah, I mean, in my notes, I have Dalvin Cook 28, Packers 22. So Vikings did absolutely nothing. I mean, Dalvin Cook, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen every week. So I mean, it happened this week. But
that's what I don't understand. I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm a Justin Jefferson owner in multiple leagues, and I'm sitting there wishing they would throw the ball, but I'm going, hey,
why would you?
they're giving Dalvin Cook the ball. They're giving Dalvin Cook the ball. If I know it's happening, the Packers have to know it's happening. How do they not sell out to stop Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of weird. They just kept letting him just dominate them pretty much. I mean, it's kind of crazy. 30 carries. 30 carries is pretty unheard of in this day and age. I mean, for a running back, but
yeah,
I don't know. Thielen, I think he was getting locked down. I mean, they had Jair Alexander on him. It looked like Thielen couldn't really get open. I mean, he only had a few catches. I think they both had 3 catches for 20-something yards. So
only 11 completions.
Yeah. I guess that's how you'll win if you have Kirk Cousins. But, I mean, as far as those other guys, your fantasy, I mean, you're not liking that too much. I do have Jefferson as well, and, I mean, I'm going to have to start stashing him on the bench again. I mean, at this point.
Oh, calm down. Jefferson will be just fine.
Nah, I mean, he's only had like 2 big games.
I say, well, if you're going to bench him, just trade him to me. How's that sound?
I mean, I don't have him in our league, but I mean, he'll be stashed on the bench in my other ones because he hasn't done much lately. And if they got Dalvin Cook healthy, I mean,
proceed at your own risk, my friend.
Yeah.
You're going to put him on the bench. He's going to blow up for 9 catches for 135 yards and a touchdown.
I don't know if Kirk Cousins is able to even complete 9 passes to one person.
Fair enough. All right, next game we got Titans and Bengals. Derrick Henry, just like Julio Jones did Julio Jones things, Derrick Henry does Derrick Henry things. He is so tough to get down. He rushed for 112 yards and a touchdown at 6.2 yards a carry. I mean, good grief, just give him the ball every time, and every two downs you got a first down. Corey Davis blew up 8 for 128 yards and a touchdown. That doesn't happen much. And A.J. Brown, only 4 for 24, but he did help you out by finding the end zone as well. Jonnu Smith, man, 3 straight games with under 5 fantasy points. Come on, man. You went 2 for 29. And the dude's got a tough schedule coming up. He's got Chicago, then Indy, then Baltimore, Indy again, and then Cleveland. None of those teams are very forthcoming in tight end points, if you will. So it's going to be a tough road ahead for my man Jonnu Smith, who I have in multiple leagues. He was before he got hurt, he was a top 3 tight end in fantasy, and he has really fallen off since then. Now the Bengals, Joe Burrow only had 37 pass attempts, and I say only because he's already gone over that amount of pass attempts 4 times on the year because the Bengals want to throw every play. He went 249 and 2. Gio Bernard did a great job again filling in for Mixon with 62 rushing yards and a touchdown. He also had 3 catches, only 16 yards, but guess what? Found the end zone again receiving. T. Higgins produces again, 6 for 78. Tyler Boyd gets you 6 for 67 and a touchdown. It seems like Boyd produces every week, no matter what. I love him. He's very, very reliable. A.J. Green, 2 for 19. So he's been doing well, and now he's back to – I don't know what to do with A.J. Green. Alden Tate comes out of nowhere, 7 for 65. Whew, I don't know, man. I don't know why the Bengals didn't trade A.J. Green. If you got Alden Tate in the mix, you might as well get A.J. Green for something, right?
Yeah, I mean, they should have traded him before this week. I should have traded him last Wednesday or Thursday when he was riding high with those.
Why not?
With that big game, sell him high,
Yeah.
But that doesn't make any sense. Burrow, I mean, him and Higgins are going to be a good combo, I mean, for the next foreseeable future as long as they're playing together. And Burrow, I mean, kid just looks comfortable back there. I mean, I think they had didn't they have 2 or 3 offensive linemen out or something like that, and they still
Dude, I know. I think it was 4.
4, yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah,
or something
I really
like that.
do, yeah.
They still whooped up on the Titans. I mean, that was a pretty good win for them, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't really – didn't see it coming. I mean, didn't see them scoring 31 on Tennessee.
But when you got receivers, man, I mean, they have 3 receivers. It is really tough for a defense to try to take out 3 receivers. And I don't know if they chose to take out Green or if that just kind of happened by itself. But then you had Alden Tate step up. So that's – I mean, look, the Bengals, I understand they're not a great team altogether. But on any given week, when you have weapons like that, especially when Joe Mixon is healthy and with Burrow playing the way he is, they're tough to beat on any random week.
Yeah, they're pretty good, man. I love some Tyler Boyd as well. I love my trade now that I guess it was about a month ago, I dished off Odell Beckham and DeAndre Swift for Tyler Boyd. So with Odell Beckham getting hurt, I mean, it looks like a DeAndre Swift for Tyler Boyd trade. So I'm liking that, but
as you should.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Bernard, yeah, man, Bernard, I did pick him up in a couple of my leagues as well, and he's been doing pretty good. But Mixon, I don't think he's out for that much longer. I think he might be coming back pretty soon. So Bernard's usage will go back down to his normal.
Ride the train while you can.
Yeah, ride it while you can. But I think the train's about to stop on that one. I think pretty soon. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a good game for the Bengals, though. I mean, man, Tennessee. And Tennessee's they're a solid team, but man, that defense is kind of they stink.
Not great.
So yeah,
yes,
I mean,
not great.
I wouldn't be happy with that going into the playoffs. I don't know if you're giving up 31 to Cincy. I mean, what are you going to give up to the Chiefs and Steelers and all those other teams? So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see the Titans making it that far in the playoffs, if they even make it to the playoffs.
No, yeah, for sure.
So next game, Jets and Chiefs. Starting with the Jets. On to the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes was a monster, 416 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. No picks. I mean, you could throw 5 touchdowns, no picks. That's pretty impressive no matter what. Huge letdown for the running backs, though. This was not a revenge game for Le'Veon Bell like most people thought it was. I mean, I really thought that Le'Veon Bell, a guaranteed touchdown, no matter what, they find a way to let him score against his previous team. They did not. As a matter of fact, CEH and Le'Veon Bell combined for 28 rushing yards and 6 catches for 41 more yards. That's both of them put together. Not good. Meanwhile, I guess the Chiefs just decided they're going to throw the ball every play. So Travis Kelce, he blew up, had over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill had almost 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Mecole Hardman scored. Demarcus Robinson scored. I mean, it was a free-for-all in the passing game against the Jets. And I'm not kidding, man. I got nothing to say about them. So,
Yeah, I don't have anything down here for the Jets. Jamison Crowder sat out the second straight week. He's I'm a Crowder owner, so he was out for the second week in a row. He's about the only guy that I would even start or even try to think about playing on the Jets. So,
that's right.
I mean, look, I played against Mahomes, and we talked last week. He did exactly what I didn't want him to do, and he dominated me in my fantasy league. So, because I think, what was it, the week before he had like 200 yards and didn't really do a whole lot. So,
Right.
I guess he had to remind everybody that he's still pretty good and come out and throw 5 touchdowns for 400 yards and dominate me in 2 of my fantasy leagues. And again, man, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, to me, just kind of disappointing this year, man. I mean, look, I wouldn't mind having him on my squad, but I mean, from where he was getting picked, it's just tough to justify these kind of performances, man.
Well,
I don't know, but
no, I know, because he's going, like we said before, he's going as like this anywhere like usually the 6th to 8th running back off the board, and he's definitely not performing like that. I think he's probably has more value in real life than in fantasy.
yeah.
And dude, listen, what really sucks about fantasy is luck plays a big part in it. And like, you just said about going against Patrick Mahomes, I played very, very well in one of my leagues, but I was going up against Patty Mahomes and DK Metcalf. 85 points between those 2 players. And you just can't win a week, really, no matter how well your guys do, when you got 2 fellas on the other squad scoring 85 points.
Yeah, this week it was Mahomes was my killer. Last week it was Tyler Lockett beat me in 2 of my leagues. So
it happens, man.
you got to catch those guys.
You're right. Moving on to the next one, we have the Colts and the Lions. Phillip Rivers has back-to-back solid showings. Okay, Phil. 263 and 3 touchdowns. Guess what? No turnovers, which is always Phillip Rivers' bugaboo. However, only one player, he threw for 263 yards. Only one player on the team had more than 50 receiving yards, and it was a running back. Naheem Hines went 3 for 52 with 2 receiving touchdowns. 11 different receivers caught a pass for Phillip Rivers. I mean, he was throwing the ball to everybody, tossing the ball, pulling people out of the stands, giving them a catch. And what in the Jordan Wilkins happened to Jonathan Taylor? Jonathan Taylor, they go in the bye, and coming out, you think, all right, here we go, JT time. We're going to see it. They figured out what they need to do to get him the ball and have him carry this team. And then he goes 11 carries for 22 yards, while Jordan Wilkins gets 20 carries, 20 for 89 yards and a touchdown. Jeez, you Pete's, what is going on in that backfield? And then for the Lions, Matthew Stafford, he went 336, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. The Lions totaled 13 carries and 29 yards rushing. Ugh, gross. TJ Hawkinson, he does it again, 7 for 65, and he has double-digit fantasy points in 3 of the last 4 games. And the only outlier, the one game he did not have double-digit points in, 9.7. So TJ Hawkinson's really getting on a roll here. I'm liking him. Marvin Jones obviously ticked you off, another guy that annoyed me this week, because he has 3 catches for 39 yards. 2 of those catches are touchdowns. So what Marvin Jones does, he does 0 for 2 or 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it busts out for 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, Kenny Golladay gets hurt. I think he's already out for this upcoming week. It's not good. We just talked about how great of a receiver he is. So they brought in Marvin Hall, of all people. Bet you never heard of that guy. 4 catches for 113 in KG's absence.
Yeah, man, this game didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, like you said, with all this JT. I mean, he's a guy. Now he's a guy. If I have him in a couple leagues, and I mean, I'm pretty worried about my man Jonathan Taylor because it's just not trending in the right direction for him for some reason. I don't know, but I mean, Jordan Wilkins hasn't done a whole lot this year, and then all of a sudden he's going to come out and get 20 carries. I mean, Naeem Hines. I mean, he usually does get his gets his touches, but I mean, Wilkins kind of came out of the blue, and I don't know. They might be riding the hot hand here. I don't know if JT might be looking at another 10 carry a week, which isn't going to do it for you in fantasy wise. I mean, unless he can score a couple touchdowns, but that hasn't happened either. So, man, it's tough. I don't understand. And then T.Y. Hilton again. He's just kind of, I don't know, man. He might be done at this point. His career might be coming
he's
to an
hurt.
end. Yeah, so I don't know. He's hurt, but I mean, he hasn't really done much all year anyway, so it's tough for old Ty. But yeah, man, Rivers, another pretty solid game. I would think. I'm pretty sure he probably has a lot more games. I mean, dude, this guy turns the ball over a ton. So I mean, for him to have a game without a turnover is probably rare in his statistical history, I guess. And then I don't know, man. DeAndre Swift, like you said, they didn't do much rushing. I know the Lions were down in this game.
But throwing the ball.
Had to throw a lot, yeah.
I mean Swift catch, get him the ball out of the backfield, throwing the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, dude had 1 yard on 6 carries, and then he caught 3 passes. So I don't know. That's just kind of a weird situation with Peterson. I mean, I don't know. This is kind of, man, I don't know. It's just tough to put any of those guys in there, man.
You can't trust
it's
anyone.
tough.
Kerryon Johnson vultured a touchdown like a jerk.
And if I were the Lions, I mean, I would have thought about trading him as well. I mean, shoot.
No reason to have him. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, he just scored a touchdown, so you figure you might be able to, grab a draft pick, late round pick for him or something like that. If you're going to use
– I mean, he was a second round pick 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have Swift and AP, I mean, I guess you roll with them guys. Maybe you can pick up a draft pick there, but not too much going on today in the old trade deadline. So
nothing.
Nothing going on.
I got a good question from Anthony Aniano when that comes up.
Yeah, and I think he's ready to roll. So we're gonna get him on here right now.
All right, the cameras on. Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're good, man.
You leave the cameras on because I know sometimes where they just do the audio.
Yes, sir. We are rolling right now. Cameras on with your beautiful face.
No,
folks, you see it.
I got my quarantine chin going. I don't know about that.
It's all good. We are with an analyst for Roto Baller Radio on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports. He is a host of Roto Baller Radio on YouTube as well. He has one of the best quotes in fantasy football: "When all else fails, PPR them to death." And the only man that I enjoy spending my mornings with when on my way to work, Anthony Aniano. Thank you for being with us, my friend.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. I mean, you're quoting me. That doesn't happen very often. So if you're going to quote me, I'll come on every week, fellas. Don't you worry about that. I appreciate it.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you or our listeners. When I say I listen to you most mornings on my way to work, I listen to you most mornings on my way to work. I get to hear your beautiful voice quite often.
I do appreciate that. For the fact that you're waking up that early, going to work, and thinking, you know what, at 6:30 a.m. I want to listen to Anthony Aniano's Long Island accent. That's quite a statement, fellas.
Hey, I'm dedicated. What can I say? So, Anthony, tell us, how did you get into the fantasy industry? It's such a niche kind of deal. Yeah. How did you get in there?
Well, like a lot of us, right? You're playing with your buddies. You're 10 years ago, you're getting together at the end of August, cooler at your feet and pizza and wings on your plate, and you're playing games, right? And time develops, and now you're going to work, and what are you doing? You're talking about it and talking about it. And it's a very long story, so I'll try to keep it short. But essentially, I was asked to go on somebody's podcast, a friend of a friend. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know what a podcast was. I didn't know it existed. The old blog talk radio. I didn't know what that. I had to work it. Nothing. Long story short, the guy who had me on brought me on as a guest, as a co-host, and he got busy with outside activities, and next thing I know, one Tuesday he calls me up. He says, "I can't do the podcast. It's all you." I said,
Nice.
"Okay." and then kind of did what you guys did, right? Had a buddy come along. We had some fun once or twice a week. Started reaching out to the crew that was before me on Sirius XM, the Tony Sincatas, the Paul Grecos, the Lenny Melnicks. Had them on as a guest, like you guys invited me on, and started showing my face at some fantasy football events and around the Long Island, New York area. Said hello. Like a politician on this election day, kissed babies and shook hands. And next thing you know, I'm latched on with rotoballer.com, and I'm on the air a couple of mornings a week. So, took a while. It was a labor of love in this industry now, probably over 10 years, and just been on Sirius now, I want to say about 2 or 3 years. So it took a while, but the persistence paid off. And you guys would agree. It's just fun, right? In a time of, people trying to suck the fun out of every aspect of our life, whether it's the three of us on this meeting talking football and busting chops, or going to work and walking by your buddy who you just beat the day before on a Sunday and reminding him you beat him. It's just fun. That's what it's supposed to be. So I still enjoy it.
You got it, man. And I could not agree more. So, Anthony, listen, man, the NFL trade deadline, it has come and it has gone, and it left a lot to be desired.
Put a lot of people to sleep, boys.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, with as far as fantasy goes, basically nothing happened. So who are a few guys that you would have liked to have seen get dealt?
Well, so you take a look at the standings, and there are teams that were interesting to maybe sell, right? Let's start in Atlanta, if that's where they decided to go. And there are players there who could have completely changed division races. Okay, Matt Ryan being number one. Now, is he the quarterback he was maybe 3 or 4 years ago? Debatable, okay? But when you see a team like San Francisco, who's been struggling at quarterback, and now Jimmy Garoppolo's hurt again, and even before then he wasn't great. Matt Ryan changes the complexion of the 49ers if he ended up there, okay? Now, granted, Kittle's now hurt. Deebo Samuel's hurt. They've gone through the running backs. It doesn't matter who plays running back for that team. No, they're affected. It could be any one of us. But it's a player like Matt Ryan on the move changes that landscape. It doesn't happen often, okay? Football trade deadline has never been as exciting as, say, the baseball or basketball trade deadline traditionally. But him, a Julio Jones on the move, right? Can Atlanta rebuild and still afford those contracts? That's the big question Atlanta has. They need to bring in defensive players. When you have offensive contracts tied to Gurley, to Ryan, to Julio Jones, especially when you have a Calvin Ridley who's proving himself more and more this year to be that wide receiver one you thought he would be, maybe it's time to unload an offensive piece. What does Atlanta do if somehow the Giants win 2 games, the Jets pull off 2 victories, and now Atlanta sits at the first or second pick? Do they pass up a Trevor Lawrence?
No way.
Well, so potentially, right, guys? Did they miss the boat on holding on to Matt Ryan right now? Just an idea as other teams, as you see the need on other teams.
That's very interesting you said that, because Brian and I, we're both Eagles fans, as luck would happen. And one of my trades personally that I wish would have happened is trade Wentz anywhere. And the one team that I said that Wentz could have gone to was San Francisco. I thought with that running game that, he could have done some good things for them. And, I mean, good grief. He couldn't have done worse than Jimmy Garoppolo, as bad as he's done. And on the Eagles side of it, you're telling me Jalen Hurts couldn't be a Cam Newton-ish type player when you're giving him 15 carries a game? I mean, that's what Cam Newton's doing basically now with New England. And Hurts was prolific in college. He had 125 touchdowns in his career, 53 of those touchdowns coming just last year with a 70% completion percentage, and that was higher than Justin Herbert was last year.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that's another player group. Now, I'm not surprised, though, Philadelphia didn't move him, only because Philadelphia in that terrible division should win it, right? So as bad as they are, 3-4, and they look terrible against the Cowboys JV, They
Yes.
should still win that division, right? So you don't give up on Wentz because, hey, you get in the postseason, you pull a shocker, and next thing you know, you're moving on to round 2. So I get that. The other player I thought had a chance to move to potentially maximize value was Sam Darnold on the Jets. And I'll tell you where I thought he could have gone. New Orleans. I thought he could have gone to the Saints. You put Sam Darnold, and it's an outrageous claim, but if you put Sam Darnold on the Saints, Jameis Winston's a free agent at the end of the year. No guarantee they're going to bring him back. Who knows exactly what they see with him on the practice, in practice. Drew Brees is retiring. You're telling me Sean Payton and Drew Brees for the next 4 months with Sam Darnold underneath, learning from a competent program, couldn't salvage Sam Darnold's career? I mean, listen, we saw what Ryan Tannehill getting out from Adam Gase can do going to Tennessee. I'm surprised Darnold didn't go somewhere, get a second or third round pick from the Jets, lock up the fact that you're not going to win a game, which is ultimately the goal at this point anyway, right? And bring in a pick and let Sam Darnold go somewhere and learn how to be an NFL quarterback because the Jets have failed him miserably.
So what do you think the Saints would have had to give up for Darnold? You think a second or third round would have done it?
Third round pick.
You think so?
Third round pick.
Wow.
The Saints have shown their willingness to trade for quarterbacks. They gave up a pick for Teddy Bridgewater, and Bridgewater, filled in admirably. But I'll be honest, long term, who do you want as the quarterback for your team if he's coached properly? Teddy Bridgewater or Sam Darnold?
Yeah. No.
You want Sam Darnold, right?
Yeah.
So just an idea. If you're gonna go balls to the wall and have some fun with the trade deadline, Sam Darnold going to the Saints or anywhere that needs a quarterback to be groomed, Sam Darnold would have made sense to move to.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm more surprised that the Packers didn't go out. I mean, I thought they could have grabbed a receiver. I mean, John Ross was begging to get traded.
Well, Will Fuller, it looked like that was going to happen, and then it fell apart. Another place I thought if they wanted to make a splash would have been an interesting Julio Jones landing spot.
Well, that would have been awesome.
Oh,
Imagine that.
Yeah,
oh my
that would have
God.
been great.
Imagine that. Now, the issue with that, does the NFC South trade with the NFC North? Do they have to deal with each other occasionally during the season? But it's not really the same division. It's usually the same divisions that kind of avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, here's the thing with the Packers. In my opinion, they didn't want to win this year, right? You saw the draft.
Right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Your top 2 picks don't play. I mean, legitimately don't play. And Aaron Rodgers and Jones and Devontae Adams said, okay, you don't want us to win? Well, watch this. So that's where they are. I'm surprised, though, you're right, Brian, that they didn't bring in some type of wide receiver. Julio Jones was the big fish, but even a smaller fish. They failed on the trade deadline like they failed on draft day.
Now, I agree with you for sure because I don't know why you don't try to bring in another receiver to help Devontae. Even if it's A.J. Green on the other side of Devontae Adams helps you out.
Mm-hmm.
But I got one more for you to see what you think about this. I was thinking, why not the Cardinals? Because Chase Edmonds is obviously better than Kenyon Drake.
Yes.
Why not send Drake to Chicago? Because David Montgomery, I mean, listen, good luck. I mean, he's running, I think, the third most pass routes of any running back in the league. But the dude is just not that great, and he's not cut out for that role. You want to make him a first and second down pounder, that's fine. But get Drake. If they could have sent Drake to Chicago has, oddly enough, a chance to win that division. And you got Kenyon Drake coming in. He doesn't have to be the lead back. He doesn't have to run on first and second downs all the time. He can do kind of what he's more built to do and be that third down back and, play every other series or something like that. That could have gone well for both teams, I think.
Yeah, it could have, except for the fact the Drake injury, you're selling him you're trading him at such a low value. That's the downside. Guys on IR, you're not getting nearly the return potentially you will have gotten. I thought a nice fit for Chicago, and it would have been interesting if they did it, was if Bill Belichick decided to move James White to take that Tariq Cohen role after Cohen tears his ACL. Okay, Montgomery's your first and second down, but now you have a proven third down option to catch the ball out of the backfield. James White's kind of being faded out a little bit in New England, right? Damian Harris is taking over. Rex Burkhead is there. Sony Michel eventually returns. there's a surplus of riches there at the running back position. And if New England does feel Cam Newton's not the future and now it's time to maybe get a little younger, James White to a contending team does help any one of those programs. So that was somebody else I thought could have fit if somebody needed a satellite back.
That's a good one. Now, one team that did make a trade, the Steelers, and it's not the sexy trade, but they got Avery Williamson, the linebacker from the Jets. I guess he's going to fill in for Devin Bush, who got hurt a couple weeks ago. Now, man, I'm going to tell you. I mean, I thought the Steelers would be good this year, but I didn't have them 7-0 for sure. And looking at the next 3 games, man, they got the Cowboys, Bengals, and the Jags. So, I mean, you're looking at a possible 10-0 start, maybe 9-1 at worst if they blow one of those games. But, I mean, what are your thoughts on the Steelers this year? And, I mean, do you think as of right now they're the team to beat in the AFC, or do you think that title still goes to the Chiefs?
It still goes to the Chiefs, and in a big game, to me, it still goes to the Baltimore Ravens. I listen, the Steelers are a good team. They're a 7-0 team, but you said it. Look at these next 3 teams they're playing. They're going to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, potentially with a 6th-round draft pick that nobody's ever heard of. They're playing the Bengals, who I do think the Bengals' future is bright. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But they're a young team with young pieces everywhere. You tell me in a dynasty fantasy league I could have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins. Okay, sign me up. But for this year, it's still very young. Okay, so you look at that division sitting 7-0, and the reality is James Conner's been good, not great. Juju Smith has been good, not great. Claypool's had some moments. Deontay Johnson, he loves the injury tent. I think he's dating whoever's in there. So, okay. So, nonetheless, though, you put me in a big game in the playoffs. I'll take Pat Mahomes, and I'll still take the Baltimore Ravens over them. Buffalo and Pittsburgh right now is a coin flip. It all depends on which Josh Allen shows up on game day. But if the dynamic Josh Allen shows up, they could give Pittsburgh a run for their money as well.
I don't know about this Ravens thing. It was when the Ravens needed a play, they called a Lamar Jackson. It should have been a throw on that 4th down on this past Sunday. They chose to run Lamar Jackson because I don't think they trust him throwing the ball. And if you don't trust your quarterback throwing the ball, I'm not sure what's going on there in Baltimore. I don't know about that.
Well, to me, Baltimore also made a mistake by not bringing in a veteran wide receiver. When your veteran wide receiver is Willie Snead, that's a problem. I mean, Hollywood Brown, a ton of talent. Whether he'll ever reach it in this Baltimore scheme will be another story. Mark Andrews is reliable. And listen, we all love their running game, right? It doesn't matter. Edwards, Dobbins, whoever it is, they're going to churn out yards. But to me, this was a team that could have used – they didn't need Julio Jones because it doesn't fit the scheme. But a stabilizing veteran presence who on 3rd and 8 can get you 9 yards, okay? A Julian Edelman – I'm not saying Julian Edelman was on the trade block, but you heard rumors of a Golden Tate moving. Nobody dynamic, nobody who's going to cost you anything more than maybe a 5th-round pick, okay? But just somebody a little bit better than Willie Snead who on that big play knows how to make a play, knows how to get open, and gives Lamar Jackson another option other than Mark Andrews on those critical passing downs.
Yeah, and speaking of Lamar Jackson, we have some incredible young talent in the NFL right now at the quarterback position. There's a bunch of guys that are 25 years or younger, Lamar being one of them, that are, just balling out. Deshaun Watson somehow is 25 years old right now. It feels like he's
been around forever, hasn't he?
It seems like he's been in the league for 10 years. He's still only 25. And for some reason, the Texans don't want to give him any talent, but whatever.
The Bill O'Brien way.
I know. Pat Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, as you talked about. Plus, we got those rookies, Herbert and Burrow, we mentioned a little bit. Do you think this is a trend that's going to continue, and we're going to see more and more young guys coming in the league and dominating? And what do you think the reason for this influx of talent is at quarterback position?
The quarterback position has changed significantly. Now, I'm just looking at your faces. I probably got at least 15 years of age on you guys. Okay, at least, if not more. But nonetheless, quarterback – I grew up with guys like Dan Marino and John Elway and Phil Simms. They stood there and threw the ball. That is a dying breed of quarterback, no matter what NFL executives. Kyler Murray 15 years ago would not be a quarterback in the NFL right now. Lamar Jackson 15 years ago would not be a quarterback in the NFL. So what you're finding is better athletes are now becoming quarterbacks. I don't think anybody would have accused Dan Marino of being an elite level athlete. Dan Marino was smart. Dan Marino had a cannon for an arm, and he could make every throw. But athletically, he's nothing like the players we're seeing now. And I think that's the trend now in the NFL. You don't need to be 6'4" and able to stand there. You need to be 5'10" to 6 feet tall and be able to move. So what that's allowing, in my opinion, is a different breed of younger athletic quarterbacks who now are not sitting the bench for 3 years, a la Aaron Rodgers, waiting for their turn, because their athleticism is allowing them to make up for any understanding of the game that's not there yet. Did Josh Allen fully understand the game as a rookie or even a second-year player? No. We all saw him panic, right, last season in the postseason in that fourth quarter. He had a complete mental breakdown. But we saw his development, and what's led to that development is the athleticism is already far ahead. So the athleticism is there. Now he just has to focus on the mental aspect of the game, and that's gotten better and better. Patrick Mahomes is a complete freak. He's a generational player. Okay, Lamar Jackson, I do worry about Lamar Jackson, a la like I worried about RG3. Okay, one hit changes things, because you said it, Rob. Is his passing accuracy where you want it to be? They're still relying on him running the ball. Okay, RG3, if you guys remember him as a starter for Washington, was dynamic. Okay, one knee injury, though, changed the whole course of his career. But I do think it's the trend because of the guys like Russell Wilson, like Kyler Murray, who aren't these statuesque guys, are getting the chance to play.
All right, so last year, by the end of the season, and this goes in exactly what we're talking about, there were 7 quarterbacks at the end of last year who averaged over 20 points a game. 7. And only Lamar was over 27 points a game. Now, currently in the NFL, there are 13 quarterbacks, almost twice as many, who can boast averaging over 20 points a game. Dak and Ryan Fitzpatrick are included in that 13.
Okay.
But Russ, Kyler, and, again, Dak, all 3 of those are over 27 currently. Now, obviously, this can and will change. But with all of this production, do you think that more quarterbacks are going to get drafted early next year, or do you think this kind of cements the whole you can wait for a quarterback deal?
I'll be honest, this is something I don't want to say I flip-flop on, but I understand the point of waiting. And then Patrick Mahomes puts up 5 touchdowns against the Jets, and you go, my God, I'm so glad I took him in round 2. Right? So, but at the same time, everybody who took Lamar Jackson before Patrick Mahomes is kicking themselves right now. Right? Lamar Jackson hasn't repeated. It takes a very special breed of quarterback to buck the trend and be able to justify a second or third round pick. Okay, and right now, to me, that's Patrick Mahomes. He's the exception to the rule. I do think Kyler Murray has the ability to be the exception to the rule. I will say this. I am all in on Pat Mahomes. And my draft strategy in multiple drafts this year was to try to grab Tyreek Hill number 1, if possible, and Patrick Mahomes in the second round. And I said, I'll roll with the Chiefs here and let's see what happens. And when they're on, you turn off the computer by 2:30 in the afternoon because you know you got your victory like I had last week. They combined for 70-something fantasy points. Okay? If one of them struggles, though, you're rolling the dice, right? I will say this, though. If you don't believe in that second-round Patrick Mahomes or that third-round Patrick Mahomes, then, yeah, go ahead and wait to round 7 or 8. But I do say this. I do think Kyler Murray will go earlier than that. If you think you're going to wait on Kyler Murray, it's not going to happen. To me, he's the second quarterback potentially off the board next year after Pat Mahomes. Lamar Jackson will still go earlier than that. There will still be players who go early. Josh Allen. You're going to see quarterbacks going around 5 and earlier. If you're a patient person, though, you can still hit round 7, round 8. Think about Dak. Where's Dak going next year, guys? Are you taking him before round 5 coming off that injury?
No. I'll take Russell Wilson.
So there's your – but Dak is your 8th-round lottery ticket then potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's your 8th round lottery ticket.
Herbert and Burrow, I mean, they're not going to go in the top 5 rounds. You're going to go have Herbert or Burrow. Either one of them will be later.
Well, that's the point. If you want to force the issue on Mahomes, force it. I get it. To me, it's him and then there's everybody else. If you don't want to force that, though, sit back and grab Herbert, grab Burrow. Those are guys. Heck, grab Trevor Lawrence as your quarterback, too, and see what happens, right? I mean, granted, he'll be a Jet, so that's going to probably be a disaster. But, like if you want to play that game, sit back in round 11 and take Matt Ryan and then roll the dice 2 rounds later with Trevor Lawrence and say, all right, let's see what happens.
I like
so there's so many ways to manipulate the quarterback position. You can reach for it and be very happy with Mahomes, or you can be patient and still cash out. I mean, think about Aaron Rodgers this year. What was he going, round 10, 11, 12?
Yeah.
Easy. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what? He's not dead yet, folks, right? Aaron Rodgers is going just fine, and you're winning with him. So you could, like I said, I'm being redundant, but you could sit and wait still. I don't think that strategy changes.
If you had to pick one, who do you think is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, Herbert or Burrow? If you had to bet a little money on it, your own money, who
Keep
would
in
you
mind,
pick?
Brian is going to bet a little bit of money on it.
I already got Herbert, so I'm a Herbert guy. I love Herbert.
I'm going to say Burrow, but if I wanted to put the small bet down and with the biggest cash, I would throw a couple of bucks on James Robinson of Jacksonville too.
Yeah, could happen.
I like it.
James, especially now, he's coming in third, and now with this what's his name, Luhan or whatever, Lewin. Luton, right? Luton-free fantasy football. If you bring in Luton, okay, it keeps your waist time nice and trim. If you bring in Luton, what's Jacksonville going to do? They're going to lead on Robinson to potential PPR him to death situation for the Jaguars. There it is. So it's a. I don't think he will win it. He's not a big enough name. Burrow and Herbert are the big names.
Right.
But if he goes absolutely nuts down the stretch and you have an extra couple of bucks floating around and you don't want to give it to me, throw it on James Robinson.
Nice. Now, all right, man, I'm going to run through a couple coaches. We don't really talk about coaches a whole lot on our podcast.
Fire them all. Fire them all.
I mean, you already had we love some Bill O'Brien on here. We talk about him quite often, and he finally got the boot, and then you got Dan.
You guys should get him on the pod.
Yeah,
I think that would be a good time.
He's got nothing else.
He's got time. He's got time.
I know a few people that went to Penn State, so maybe I can we'll reach out.
Make a couple of folks. Get him on.
Yeah.
I won't even come on. You just put me on in the little corner. I won't turn on my camera. I'll just listen.
All right, so we already had 2 guys fired. I mean, we're halfway through the year, so I was going to throw out 4 or 5 names for you. Tell me.
All right, hit me with it.
All right, man. So the first one we got, man, I think Matt Patricia might be gone after this year. What are your thoughts on him?
3 and 4. Matt Patricia should be fired because he continues to play Adrian Peterson over DeAndre Swift.
I hear that.
Now,
okay.
Agree.
Okay. But they are 3 and 4, and in this expanded playoff, they actually are still in playoff contention. I do think last year gets him an extra year because no Matt Stafford. He went through 5 running backs. They were all beat up. So if he can pull out a 500 season, if he finishes 8-8, he stays. But from a fantasy football perspective, he should be fired for playing, AP over Swift.
I hear that. Now, Adam Gase is definitely going to get fired.
Goodbye.
Do you think they're going to let him just, finish out the year and then bring somebody new in with Trevor Lawrence or what? Are they
already beat them.
Well, no, that's wrong. You keep them in. You don't want to bring somebody in and win 2 games, okay?
I knew it.
You want to make sure you continue losing. However, I will say this. If you're a betting guy, I could see the Jets beating the Pats this week. I can see it. The Patriots are in free fall right now. But that being said, Gase will finish the year, in my opinion. Honestly, it doesn't make any sense to fire a coach at this point. It really doesn't. You're not going to win any games. It's not going to change anything. And whoever you bring in is not your long-term coach anyway. So firing somebody, being in New York, you're firing Adam Gase just so the Jets could have a day on the back page of the paper. That's all it is. So let him finish the year, send him on his way, bring in the guy you want, and then you structure accordingly, and you see what they do there. I wouldn't be shocked if he was fired, but I don't expect him to be. Actually, I think he finishes the year.
What about Doug Marrone from the Jags? He's 23-34 since 2016.
Is that bad? Is that for Jacksonville? Is that bad?
Yeah.
Again, Jacksonville, I think he finishes the year. I think they move on from somebody else. But here's the problem for Jacksonville. They better finish with a top 2 draft pick because they went in this year fully planning to tank for Trevor Lawrence or Fields. And right now, they're not there. Okay? They don't have one of those 2 picks. Gardner Minshew, fun story, good time. We'd all love to go have a beer with the guy. But the fact that if they don't get one of those top 2 picks, they may have to go back to him next year. That's a scary situation for the Jaguars.
I can see that, yeah. Now, this is a guy I like. Anthony Lynn, I like him, but, man, this team has just kind of been blowing up the last couple of weeks, man, with these leads that they've had. I think they've blown, 4 leads of 16 points or more, something like that in the last 4 games. You think he could if they keep that up, you think he could be
I think he survives.
That's gonna be a really sought after position if it opens up.
Yes,
Herbert
for
there.
Sure. Yeah.
Everyone is going to want to go to LA.
That's why I don't think he goes. I think they give him another year. He was involved in the drafting of Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler's been out. He's built a he's had a nice draft. Okay, between Joshua Kelly, some of the defensive pieces, Justin Herbert, he's put a nice draft together. There's still some maturity. The team has to learn how to win, right? We've heard that phrase before. I think that's something the Chargers have to do, okay? And the reality is for the next couple of years, when you look at that team, they might be in the best position 2-3 years from now to challenge Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City because of the Justin Herbert draft pick. I think Anthony Lynn gets another year.
All right, last one. Do you think Mike McCarthy could be one and done in Dallas, or does he stay?
I think he stays. It's 3 more. That's a lot. And Jerry Jones, we know he prints his own money, but that's a big contract to swallow. He's still got 3 more years on that. I listen, we all love the CeeDee Lamb draft pick, but it was the wrong pick.
Yeah.
Dallas needed to draft defense. Okay. And that's Jerry Jones. That's not Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones is putting together a fantasy football team, not a football team. And it bit him hard. And Mike McCarthy now has the fallback. I lost Dak Prescott. What did you want me to do? You gave me Andy Dalton as the backup. What did you expect? So I do think McCarthy stays just because financially, that's a huge amount of money that Jerry Jones will be paying now 2 head coaches for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And see, Jerry Jones, I think he's spiteful. He came out with those comments about Ezekiel Elliott when they were doing the comments. He said Zeke who or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And I really think the reason they took CeeDee Lamb is a few years ago when the Eagles jumped the Cowboys when they lost Jason Witten and they took Dallas Goedert, almost in spite of the Cowboys needing a tight end so bad. Now the Cowboys see CeeDee Lamb has fallen. They got a shot to take CeeDee Lamb right before they know the Eagles need him. So I wouldn't put it past Jerry Jones to have made that pick just so the Eagles couldn't get him, even though that wasn't the pick that they needed.
Yeah, but it just tells you how bad Jerry Jones is at selecting players because of the fact you jumped. Okay, if you were 100% right on that, Rob, this was not the draft this past April was not the draft to jump over somebody to draft a wide receiver.
There's a ton of
the wide receiver position went 25 deep. So the Eagles went, okay, Rager, Jefferson. The amount of wide receivers who were floating there after CeeDee Lamb was ridiculous. Nobody lost sleep over not getting CeeDee Lamb in that situation. And, yeah, they're putting up, before Dak was hurt, they were putting up pinball numbers. They couldn't stop anybody. And I do think McCarthy's able to use that Dak injury as his fallback. And I do think he gets another year as the Cowboys head coach because I just can't imagine one year done and then having all that contract hanging over their head.
Well, man, I just think, I don't know, man, with all that talk, those players coming out and saying, he doesn't
Jerry Jones doesn't care about that.
Yeah, I know.
If there's one person in the league who is tone deaf to the players, it's Jerry Jones. Okay, listen. Hey, he was a hero to many the way he sat there on draft night on that yacht. Big balling it to the
Yeah.
extreme,
Yes.
right? But nonetheless, he has long been players' thoughts and opinions. I think have long been irrelevant to Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is going to do Jerry Jones, and that's just it.
Yeah.
Dude, Anthony, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for coming on here. Before you get out of here, tell us where we can hear you. How can we get more Anthony in our lives?
Check me out on Twitter, Aniano Fantasy. Rotoballer Radio is on 7 days a week, Monday, Sunday to Saturday in the morning. I'm on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, 6 to 7 a.m. with Josh Hayes. And if you head over to rotoballer.com or the Rotoballer YouTube channel, you'll see my waiver wire series, usually posted every Monday or Tuesday morning. I cover all the positions on the waiver wire. That's my focus for football season as well as baseball season. So you can check that all out as well.
Folks,
Thanks, man. Appreciate it coming on.
Guys, let's do this again. Seriously.
All right.
every Tuesday morning,
Every Tuesday night.
Thursday morning. I never miss you on a Tuesday or Thursday. Never.
Dude,
Never.
you're my favorite. You guys are my favorite podcast only because you quoted me. I'm telling you, that's amazing.
We're the best. Look,
I've never heard it. It's never happened before. Absolutely amazing. So I'm gonna leave here. I'm gonna walk in the other room and turn to my family and be like, yeah, these dudes were quoting me. So that is huge. And because of that, it's carte blanche. Whenever you want me, you know how to reach me. I'm here, bro.
All right.
I'm here. I mean, you knew how to get straight to my heart. So if we were dating, let's just say there wouldn't be many rules tonight. That's how impressed I am.
There you go.
Hey, listen, now you got to get me on Rotoballer Radio sometime.
We'll get you on. We'll figure it out, bro. Don't you worry.
Right. Hey, no, seriously, you're the man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
Yep.
All right.
Dude, that was fantastic.
Yeah, man. The
old
comments
coming out of him, man.
Strong comments from the old Long Island accent there.
I
love it.
Loved it. And gosh, man, I'm sure all of our listeners out there love that as well. And yeah, seriously, man. He's great, man. I wouldn't listen. I'm not going to promote anything I don't believe in. Him on Rotoballer Radio, I love it, man. Every Tuesday morning, every Thursday morning, I never miss it. Sirius XM channel 87. They should throw me some money for promoting them again. We have, thousands of listeners every week. So
yeah, I'll have to
throw some cash. But seriously,
start checking that out when I get to work. I'm usually that's a little bit before my work travel. So yeah, when I get into the office Tuesday, Thursday, I have to check him out, man, for sure.
Now we got a few more games to cover, man, and we're gonna have to do this in warp speed.
Yeah, we got some election results to look at here.
All right, you ready?
All right, let's go. I forget where we left off. I think we left off.
We're on Steelers Ravens right now. Ooh. Big Ben went 182-2. James Conner went 47-1. He also had 3 catches for 13 yards. Juju, hey, he did it for you again. 6 for 67. Not crazy, but you'll take it. Eric Ebron, so sneaky. 4 for 48 and a touchdown. You know Eric Ebron has run the 13th most routes via tight end this year. Chase Claypool also scored for you with 5 catches and 42 yards. Deontay Johnson hurt again, 1 catch for 6 yards. The Ravens, who we talked about Lamar a little bit, he was only 13 for 28. Not a good completion percentage, less than 50%. 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also 2 picks. One of them was a pick 6. Not that it matters for fantasy, but that's not good in real life. He has Indianapolis, New England, and Pittsburgh coming up. Pittsburgh again, 3 of their next 4. Not looking good. He saved fantasy owners because he had 16 carries, 65 yards. 2 other running backs had 15-plus carries. Dobbins went 15 for 113. Gus Edwards went 16 for 87 and a touchdown. 47 carries total between the 3. Willie Snead out of nowhere went 5 for 106. Don't pick him up. You don't need him. Mark Andrews, 3 for 13. Mark Andrews has not gone over 60 yards at all this year and has 3 catches or less in 5 of 7 games. We keep telling you Mark Andrews can't be trusted, and it keeps happening over and over again. Hollywood Brown went 1 for 3-1 and complained about it on Twitter. Apparently he's a soldier, whatever that means. And worst of all, they lost their left tackle, Ronnie Stanley. He just signed a big money deal, and they lost him out for the year. That is not good.
Yeah,
That was a lot for the Ravens, but
I guess it's good for him. At least he got paid before you get hurt. So, hey, what do you get? Like 50-something $million too, right?
a lot. I think it was like 71 guaranteed or something crazy.
Ooh, yeah, that's even worse. But yeah, man, this game, I don't know, man. I'm a little more high, I guess, on the Steelers than old Anthony was there. I mean, he said he'd take the Ravens in a big game. To me, it just seems like the Ravens can't win the big game. I mean, they were up here on the Steelers by 10, and then he's kind of I guess not scared, but I mean, I don't know. He has something going on mental when he plays the Chiefs, and they're in his head.
Yep.
Man, I don't know. Steelers are good too, man. I mean, they don't
defense stifling.
Yeah, man. I think it's more the defense. I mean, Big Ben does his thing, and Juju's kind of turning on the last couple of weeks. Claypool, I mean, not a whole lot this week, but I mean, he's had some big games. And Deontay Johnson, that's a shame because that he's pretty good, man. And I don't know, just these injuries kind of just lingering around all over. I think he's got a hamstring injury now, so that's never good. I don't know, man. The Ravens to me. Yeah, man, Lamar's having a down year, and I mean he's still good, he's still elite, but they're just going to have to find ways to win.
16 carries is a lot for a quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know, man. You can't really, I thought Dobbins had a good game. I mean, he had 113 yards on 15 carries. I mean, maybe they need to start relying on some of that youth. Rely on Dobbins, and I don't know. They don't have a whole lot going on at receiver. I know Anthony said they probably should have made a move for a veteran, which would have been smart, but. Hey, man, we'll see. It's tough to critique the Ravens too much, but, I think they're just losing some of these big games, which, I mean, in the playoffs, these games are tight, and these are the teams you're going to be playing, and they just can't find a way to beat these teams. So, I don't know. It's tough.
All right, so next one, Rams-Dolphins. Darrell Henderson had 8 carries. Cam Akers had 9 carries, and Malcolm Brown had 10 carries. So, that was fun. They each had 1 or 2 catches as well. Cooper Kupp had a ridiculous 21 targets. Good grief. 11, but he only caught 11 of them because Jared Goff sucks. 11 catches, 110. Robert Woods had 7 for 85 and a touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown, his second one of the year. They keep handing the ball to Robert Woods. I mean, good for them. It's weird, but if you own him in fantasy, you'll take it. Jared Everett ruined the day by getting 5 for 32, while Tyler Higbee had 2 for 14. 2 catches, 14 yards. Ugh. Outside of his 3-touchdown game against the Eagles, Higbee has really done almost nothing. And for the Dolphins, obviously this was Tua Tagovailoa's first start. He went 12 for 22. Yikes. 93 yards passing. Yikes. A touchdown because he was able to hit Devontae Parker. So good for him, I guess, with his first touchdown pass. He fumbled. He had a fumble sack or a sack. He was sacked and fumbled on I think it was his first drop back. Yeah. That is not how you want to start your career. Remarkably, this is crazy and has to be a record. 6 receivers for the Dolphins were in double-digit receiving yards, but none of them were above 16. So they had 6 guys have double-digit receiving yards, all of them between 10 and 16 yards. And that's incredible. Unbelievable. And Devontae Parker, who did catch a touchdown pass, he was not one of the guys. He only had 1 catch for 3 yards. And honestly, if it wasn't for the Dolphins scored a defensive touchdown and I think they had a punt return for a touchdown. I mean, that's not good for the Dolphins. They won somehow, but that's not what you were looking for in Tua's first start.
No, I mean, he definitely looked like a guy playing in his first NFL game to me. I mean, and the Rams defense is okay. I mean, like you said, I think Aaron Donald hit him with that strip sack in his first drive. So that's a nice little welcome to the NFL there for old Tua. But like you said, they won the game. So, I mean, you can't.
Get Fitzpatrick back out there. Good grief.
Yeah, I mean, Fitzpatrick probably would have.
Love him.
Would have lit it up a little bit more than Tua. But, hey, I don't know, man. And this is the Rams team that I thought we were going to see all year. This is a game that, you would think they would come out and win this game, and they kind of laid an egg on this one, man. Jared Goff kind of just – I don't know what he was doing out there. I mean, his stats looked okay. I mean, if you're looking at him, but man, he didn't play good at all. He was throwing the ball over the place. He's inaccurate this week. I mean, the only thing they got going for him is that defense is somewhat formidable, but I think the slide for the Rams is coming, which they've already beat me on my 3-13, but they beat up on the NFC East. I didn't know they were going to be the worst division ever. So,
according to Pro Football Focus, the two worst quarterbacks of the week were Jared Goff and Tua Tagovailoa.
all in the same game. But yeah, hey, I guess you got to win other ways. And the Dolphins, they had the punt return touchdown and a defensive touchdown. So
I just feel bad for Fitzpatrick, man.
yeah, he's had a couple good quotes out there as of him getting benched and his heart was broken and everything else. So yeah, I mean,
mine too, buddy. Mine too. Poor little out
yeah.
for Patrick. Next one, Pats and Bills. Cam had 174 yards passing and 0 touchdowns because he's terrible. 9 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown. So obviously he saved you in fantasy. Damian Harris, though, if he's out there in your waiver wire, pick him up. I know you can't trust the Patriots running back, but he went 16 for 100 yards, 102, and a touchdown. Bills, Josh Allen, he only threw for 154 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. He did have 23 yards rushing and a touchdown. This is where it gets interesting for the Bills because, once again, coaches hate us. Because Devin Singletary went 14 carries for 86 yards. Moss goes 14 carries for 81 yards, but 2 touchdowns. Zach Moss got the goal line work. Stephon Diggs, on a day when Allen only throws for 154 yards, Diggs gets 92 of those, so he still did well, 6 for 92. Cole Beasley had his first game since week 1 where he did not get double-digit points. He only went 2 for 24. But again, it's tough to produce when there's only 18 passes attempted.
Yeah, this was another tough game, for Cam. You know, he didn't have a good game, but I mean, they had a chance to win that game, and he coughs it up there on the
Fumble,
last drive.
last
The
play.
fumble. Yeah, so I mean, they had a chance to maybe kick that field goal or go ahead and win it with a touchdown, but I don't know. This is another game. I mean, the Bills find a way to win. It wasn't pretty. I mean, it's pretty ugly, but hey, they beat New England, which they can't say they've done too often lately in the past 20 years. So, I mean, I'm sure they'll take it. Fantasy owners don't like it. I have Diggs and the PPR. I mean, I guess you'll take 6 for 92. I mean, it's not, the worst thing you're ever going to do.
On a down week.
Yeah,
and there's no way Bill Belichick likes Cam Newton. He has to hate him.
Yeah, Cam, man, he just, I don't know. He's starting that whole, he just looks like, I don't know. He's just out there moping around, and if things don't go his way, he's just. I wouldn't be surprised if Belichick just kind of if he benches him, but we'll see. See how much longer he rides with Cam, but yeah, I don't think he's definitely not getting that long-term deal from the Patriots after.
No, gosh,
playing this year.
Yep, and then the Raiders played the Browns in another terrible game. I think it was 1 touchdown between both of them. I guess there were high wins, so that equals running Josh Jacobs 31 times. He had 128 rushing yards, so you'll take that. He did not have a touchdown, though, and did not have any receiving points, and that was about it for the Raiders. Darren Waller went 5 for 28 or something, and Hunter Renfrow, who no one started, went 4 for 26 that no one cares about, but he did get, I think, the lone touchdown of that game. Derek Carr only had 112 passing yards, and I'm pretty sure none of those went to Nelson Aguilar, who was supposed to be the number 1 receiver, not pass catcher because that would go to Darren Waller, but receiver for the Raiders. Don't worry, though. Baker Mayfield, he won the passing yards battle by throwing for 122 yards against Derek Carr. That's ridiculous. I mean, there's 234 total passing yards between both teams. Get out of here. Kareem Hunt rushed for 66 yards, big deal. And Jarvis Landry in the first game without Odell Beckham went 5 for 52. So in a PPR, you still got double digits from Landry, but I don't know. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean, and Landry dropped 3 passes, and 2 of them probably should have been touchdowns. So that would have been a big week because, I watched this game a little bit, but yeah, Landry, they showed his 3 drops of the day, and 2 of them, I mean, would have been touchdowns. So Mayfield would have had a lot better day, and so would have Landry if you could have caught those passes. But yeah, this is another weird game. I mean, another guy rushing for having 30 carries. Jacobs he is what he is. And, oh, man, Cleveland's just so weird of a team to me. I don't know what to think. I mean,
No one does.
I guess when Chubb comes back, maybe we'll figure it out. But I think he should be coming back pretty soon. He's been out for at least a month already, right? So you would think he's coming back in a few weeks. But I mean, man, we'll see what happens. I don't know. They're a tough team to figure out, man. Some weeks they can score, and I don't know. This week they can kick 2 field goals, and that's about it. So
yeah. And you want to talk about a weird game? We got the Chargers and Broncos next. I mean, the Chargers were up 21 points, I think, and the Broncos come back and win it. It makes zero sense. I don't know what the Chargers are doing. They play down their competition. But have I mentioned that I love Justin Herbert, and I know that you love him now too. 278 for 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, which isn't my favorite, but he rushed for 21 yards. So that, as far as fantasy is concerned, eliminates one of those picks. He's only got 5 picks on the year, though, and 15 passing touchdowns. You're going to take that from a rookie all day, every day. Justin Jackson, great. 17 carries, 89 yards, 3 catches, 53 more yards. That is awesome. That's 1 week after you had 5 carries. Tremaine Pope, who literally no one has ever heard of, got 10 carries, while Josh Kelly, who was the lead back the last time the Chargers played a game, only had 7 carries, less than Tremaine Pope. See, I'm telling you, football coaches hate fantasy. Keenan Allen, he did Keenan Allen things, 9 for 67 and a touchdown. Mike Williams, 5 for 99 yards, I believe, and a touchdown. Now, I hate Mike Williams' floor because it's a literal 0, but I love his ceiling. His ceiling has got to be as high as just about any other receivers in the league. And especially with Herbert throwing this ball, if he starts clicking with Mike Williams, he's big, he's fast, he's athletic. There could be some fireworks there. So I like that. Hunter Henry, though, I mean, he is not good. I don't even 3 catches or something for 30. I don't even know what his numbers were. They were miserable. And they franchise tagged him this year. I believe he's going to miss out on a lot of money because he is not producing. As far as the Broncos go, I don't understand either of these teams. Drew Lock decides that he's going to be terrible for 3 quarters, and then he's going to throw 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns to come back and win the game. 248, 3-1. After the last 2 weeks, the last week or two, he's been almost non-existent. Philip Lindsay, again, shows his dominance over Melvin Gordon. 6 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, it's not even close. He is head and shoulders above Melvin Gordon. I don't know why they even give Melvin Gordon the ball. Deshaun Hamilton went 4 for 82 and a touchdown. Don't worry about that. Jerry Jeudy was okay. I think it was like 3 or 4 catches for 73 yards. So hopefully he can build on that. Noah Fant went 7 for 47. So you like that. But the touchdown went to the other tight end that we've been talking about for 3 weeks now, Albert O.
Yeah, man, I watched a lot of this game because I love me some Herbert, man, and I've been starting him in a few of my leagues. So, I had my eyes glued on this one, and man, that Chargers defense just stinks. I mean, to let Drew Lock just kind of dominate you there in the fourth quarter. I mean, they're almost as worse. I mean, everybody talks about the Falcons with like these blown leads and everything else. I mean, the Chargers, these last couple of weeks, they've been horrible. I know it's downright pitiful. I mean, it's the defense. I mean, look, Herbert, he kind of had some drive stall there in the second half. I mean, I think he only had a couple second half field goals, I think, right? I mean, he didn't do much in the second half, but man, that kid's a stud though. And like you said, if Mike Williams can get going, I mean, and that catch he had was pretty sick. That one-handed snag, man. I mean, he has some skill, but if he can get rolling, I think they'll be fine. And man, like you said, Hunter Henry, he's a guy that I know a lot of people. I mean, obviously, people drafted him in fantasy, and he just lays an egg every week. And to me, Herbert's just a guy. I think he leads, or he's top 2 in the league. I think, and throws down the field, or throws over 20 yards or something like that. I read. So that kid likes to air it out a little bit. So I mean, I don't know if he's not looking for the tight end a whole lot. So man, I would just I'd cut ties with Hunter Henry, man, at this point, because I don't think he's doing much for you fantasy wise.
Yeah. I mean, the waiver wire is very bare in tight ends, but good grief. If you can find a Logan Thomas or somebody slip in there, it might do you some good. I know Jordan Akins for the Texans is not pretty, but I mean, I don't know what to do with Hunter Henry. Next game, Saints-Bears. Breeze went 280-2. He just kind of seems to just barely get it done every week. But look, I mean, you'll take it. Alvin Kamara, 12 carries, 67 yards, not excited about, but 9 catches for 96. He is on pace for 125 receptions. That would break the record of 116 that Christian McCaffrey set last year. Jared Cook went 5 for 51 and a touch. Taysom Hill caught a touchdown again. He's one of the most annoying guys in the NFL. Another guy that's, gets on my nerves. The Bears, your boy David Montgomery, 21 carries for 89 yards, 2 catches for 16, but most of his yards came on one run where he ran through a huge hole. And I'm not kidding you. If you watch this play, he legitimately looks confused. He gets the ball, he runs through this enormous hole, and he's looking for guys to come tackle him because he's not used to having a hole there. He's used to getting hit, and it's just kind of humorous that he actually, I don't know, his offensive line did him a favor, and he didn't know what to do with it. But let's see, Allen Robinson, he went 6 for 87 and a touch because, again, like most guys this week, Allen Robinson did Allen Robinson things. Anthony Miller, 8 for 73. Don't get excited about that because you never know what he's going to do week to week. And Darnell Mooney, I know he's like, everyone's like, oh, Darnell Mooney, he's doing stuff. I'm not trusting a Bears receiver not named Allen Robinson. I'm not trusting Nick Foles. He went 5 for 69 and 1. Mooney did, but I'm not going in there.
Yeah, I mean, he is an interesting guy. I mean, he is starting to see a few more targets, but yeah, it's tough with Foles in there. I mean, he doesn't, man, I don't know. I mean, I love some Nick Foles too, but I don't know, man. He just doesn't, he's just not a starting quarterback. It's a tough, but man, Allen Robinson, I mean, if you're going to throw it, if you're Foles, I mean, you just have to throw it to Allen Robinson. I mean, I'd target that guy 20 times a game if I were him. I mean, he probably would have – life would be a lot easier probably for Foles if he would target Allen Robinson more because he only targeted him 7 times and he caught 6 of them. So, to me, you'd be at least targeting him 12 to 15 times a game. But, I don't know. I guess they feel like they have these other little playmakers with Mooney and Anthony Miller. But, I mean, Anthony Miller had 11 targets. I mean, that's kind of crazy that you're getting more targets than Allen Robinson. Now, I know –
and I don't care what the coverage dictates.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What the coverage dictates. I'm throwing the ball to Allen Robinson.
That's what I mean. It's crazy.
I don't care who's covering DK Metcalf. I'm throwing him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think teams don't double cover Devontae Adams? I mean, that guy still dominates every game he plays in, you know? So, man, it's tough. This is another – the Saints are another weird team to me. I mean, they find ways to win. Kamara kind of just carries them every week, it seems like. I mean, Breeze is –
so good.
I mean, I like Drew Brees. I mean, he's a great guy and he's great for the NFL, great ambassador. But I mean, his skills are declining, man. And a guy like I just talked about, Herbert, who loves to throw the ball down the field. I mean, Brees just kind of. I mean, this guy's dumping the ball off left and right to Kamara every chance he gets. I mean, he doesn't seem like he throws the ball down the field at all. So. And
Sam Darnold's got a decent arm, so that trade to the Saints is one that I absolutely never thought about that Anthony Aniano brought up.
Yeah, that was
good.
Definitely.
I mean, listen, how crazy and weird would that have been? But it'd have been great for the Saints.
Yeah, I mean that could have saved Darnold's career. I mean, to learn from a guy like Drew Brees for I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Drew Brees is going to retire at the end of this year, but who knows? But I mean, just to learn from him and to play with him for 6 to 8 weeks, I mean, would have been monumental in the Sam Darnold career. But yeah, just something I never thought of. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Crazy.
Yeah, you're right. So 49ers and Seahawks. I bet there were a ton of people out there that spot started Jimmy Garoppolo. I almost did it against the Seahawks because the Seahawks have a terrible pass defense, but good grief, am I glad I didn't. And the whole Jimmy Garoppolo and San Francisco 49ers, like that whole situation reminds me of Tiger Woods when he played against Rocco Mediate, and Tiger was supposed to be hurt. And every time Tiger Woods hit a great shot, he walked off the tee box. And every time he hit a terrible shot, he limped like Tanya Harding, just Nancy Kerrigan his legs. I mean, it was crazy. Every time he had a bad shot, he's limping like his leg's about to fall off. But it's a good shot, and nothing's going on. And that really bothered me. And that's like Jimmy G. He goes out and he plays well, and okay, we're all right. Both times he's gone out and done terrible. They pulled him out of the game. He's hurt. Now he's on IR. It's just, I don't know. I don't know about this. That bothers me too. Again, another reason I'm annoyed this week. He got benched for Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins might be a better quarterback anyway. JaMychal Hasty led the running backs with 29 yards, and at least he got a touchdown. Brandon Ayuk, you knew he was going to blow up, and not necessarily blew up, but he definitely did well for you. 8 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Kendrick Bourne, he's now the number 2. He has to be. 8 for 81 because, unfortunately, George Kittle is out for 8 weeks or something the rest of the year. Whew, poor guy. And look, I drafted George Kittle in a league, and I am sorry because it has to be my fault. Everything that I touch in my season-long, daily fantasy, weekly fantasy, I'm good to go. But for my yearly leagues, oh, gosh, everything I touch falls apart. Everybody is hurt. I drafted George Kittle in a league. He missed a few games. Now he's out for maybe the rest of the season. So for all of you Kittle owners out there, I apologize. It's probably my fault. As far as the Seahawks go, Russell Wilson, he ate again, 261 yards passing with 4 touchdowns. Also had 23 yards rushing. DJ Dallas went 41 yards rushing. That's not great, but he got a touchdown. And he had 17 yards receiving. Don't care about that, but he got another receiving touchdown. DK Metcalf blew up, 12 catches, 161 and 2 touchdowns. This dude is uncoverable. He is a top 5 receiver. Even last week when he didn't do well, he had like a 40-yard touchdown called back from a penalty. I mean, this guy does it week in and week out. He's matchup proof. Tyler Lockett came back to earth after his enormous game, 4 catches for 33 yards, but you knew that was going to happen. And just imagine if the Seahawks would have given Russell Wilson receivers his whole career. This is last year and this year is the only time he's had like legitimate receivers. Imagine if they'd have let him do his thing earlier in his career.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely probably would. I mean, at least one more Super Bowl, I guess, in that. Man, I mean, he should have 2 already, but yeah, Metcalf is a freak, man. I mean, there's really no stopping the old Wilson to Metcalf combo this year. Yeah, that kid's, man, to me, he's like a
stud.
He's like a hybrid of like Calvin Johnson and T.O. to me, or something like that. I mean,
he doesn't have the hands. He doesn't have the hands of Calvin.
Yeah, he's got like that body like T.O., like that physical freak, and just oh man, I don't know. I mean, I thought he was good coming out of college, but he's really, I mean, this is his second year
to watch.
And I mean, he's really, and like you said last week, he doesn't have a big game, but yeah, he gets that touchdown call back in overtime, I think, and then I mean that play that everybody keeps showing where he runs about 95 yards and catches Budda Baker. I mean, the guy, to me, that just shows you a guy that wants to win, a guy that's hungry to win. And on a night that he's not performing in his top of his level in the way that he'll help his team win in another way. You know what I'm saying? So, man, how many guys can do that in the league? This is crazy to me. And Russ, I mean, he's definitely the MVP. I mean, if you could.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's going to pace like 4 touchdowns this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be hard for my old Tommy boy to catch him when he throws 4 touchdowns every week. And Tom only had 2 this week. So Russ is another +2 up on him. So, yeah, but Kittle getting hurt's tough. But Kendrick Bourne, like you said, I mean, especially with Deebo Samuel out, Kendrick Bourne's a guy that you might want to throw in there if you have to, maybe in your flex or something like that.
Really hurting.
Yeah, if you're really hurting on a bye week or something like that, Kendrick Bourne could do something. But like you said, Nick Mullins going in there, I mean, man, I watched him play in that Eagles game. He didn't look too hot. So I don't know if you're going to want to roll with any of those receivers coming up. I might have to wait and see on some of those guys.
You're right. Well, in the NFL's high school game of the week, the Dallas Cowboys took on the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the most impressive thing was that Ben DiNucci had 40 pass attempts and did not throw an interception. I think that's the most impressive stat of the night. Zeke he averaged 3.3 yards a carry for 63 yards. Michael Gallup had 6 for 61, and Dalton Schultz, the tight end for the Cowboys, had 6 for 53. So maybe, I don't know. But I don't know if you just saw this, but Ben DiNucci is now benched for this week. So now it's going to be like I don't know, Garrett Gilbert or who knows who's going to be quarterback for the Cowboys. They don't even know who it's going to be. So we'll have to see how that works out. And then the Eagles, Carson Wentz is arguably one of the league's worst quarterbacks. 123 yards passing against one of the worst defenses in all of football with 2 touchdown passes, 2 picks, and 2 fumbles. He had 4 turnovers. He got 16 turnovers on the season. You cannot win games that way. Well, let me take that back. Apparently, you can beat the Cowboys that way, but not normally. Boston Scott got you 71 yards rushing. Travis Fulgham continues to do it. 6 for 78 and a touchdown. I'm not kidding. If the Eagles start benching him, when Alshon comes back or whatever, if they don't play him, I'm out. He's better. He's the best thing they have right now on offense. Good. In 5 games that he's played, the lowest fantasy output he has is 12.3 points. Mm-hmm. Come on. Make sure this guy gets the ball. Now, Dallas Goedert came back, 1 catch for 15. Hopefully after the bye.
Start pick things up for him because he's a definite – I mean, especially with Ertz out, he's a definite starter, I think, at tight end if he could pick it up. But, yeah, man, Fulgham, dude, I mean – so I looked it up. Fulgham has the most receiving yards since week 4 when he started playing at 435 with 4 touchdowns. So
great.
I don't think Alshon Jeffrey can come back out there and just stand there and be a decoy. But I think Jalen Reagor and Fulgham, I think, are the guys, I guess, moving forward. I don't know if Fulgham will continue to play like this, but Jalen Reagor didn't have the big game. I mean, he scored a touchdown, but he showed signs of – that he could be a playmaker. We'll see. I mean, this was just a tough game for Wentz. I mean, we turned the ball over 4 times. I don't know, kills you a little bit. And, we scored a defensive touchdown. So it's not even like the offense scored 23 points. They got some miracle defensive touchdown, which I thought
I know
the ball was down. I don't know. It's just –
You're right.
I mean, the game, it looks a lot better than what it really was. And, man, the Cowboys are just that bad. I mean, Old DiNucci doesn't really – I mean, he did fumble once. He got crushed by T.J. Edwards there on like a linebacker blitz. But he had to throw 40 times and then not throw a pick is pretty good. And, I mean, and then he gets benched. So, I don't know. If that was the standards of Carson Wentz, he wouldn't have made it past the first half of the Redskins game. So, that's tough. I don't know. And I thought Boston Scott did look pretty good, and he was running good. But, I mean, he only got 15 attempts. I mean, I thought – in the first quarter, I think he had like 42 yards rushing, and then I don't know. And then Doug Peterson wants to throw the ball a ton and do all that and do his thing that way. And I don't know.
We got to get out of this game. This game makes me sad. Last game, and I know normally we preview games from next week. We don't have time to do that. We are way over, I'm sure. But the Bucks and the Giants, your boy Tom Brady, he looked okay. Wasn't his best game. He got to 19 fantasy points, but it still wasn't great in terms of real football. He had a couple awesome throws, but he went 279 and 2, middle of the road against a middle of the road defense. Leonard Fournette, he's got to be the guy now. Ronald Jones fumbled. He was basically benched after that. Fournette came in, 52 rushing yards, 3 catches for 19. Again, he's got to be the guy. Of course, Godwin is not playing, so Mike Evans goes 5 for 55 and a touchdown. So when Godwin doesn't play, Evans produces. Gronk made it 3 weeks in a row with a touchdown, 4 for 41 and obviously that touchdown grab. Daniel Jones with 256, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. He makes some of the worst plays. I mean, him and Carson Wentz are like the same player. That I can't even count the amount of wide open receivers that Daniel Jones missed. Wayne Gallman stepped in, got 44 yards rushing and a touchdown. Alfred Morris showed up for like 8 carries. Gosh, that was weird. Hopefully you remember Sterling Shepard brought him up a couple weeks ago. He's the guy now. 8 catches for 74 yards. Slayton went 5 for 56. Golden Tate got a touchdown, but he had, I think, like 3 targets or something. I think so. So listen, Sterling Shepard's the guy there, and that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, man. Shepard, he's starting to come around these last couple of weeks, and I don't know, man. Daniel Jones, like you said, Daniel Jones just I don't even know what to say about him. He's just not good. Overthrows guys, just makes stupid plays, and then he'll make a decent throw here and there. But for the most part, he's out there just kind of looking like he doesn't know what's going on. But man, yeah, like you said, man, Ingram, if you're looking for a tight end, I know he's a guy
10 targets,
a
but
lot of people gave up on, but I guess you'll take 11, I guess. I mean, that's not terrible.
he's such a weird
Man.
player.
But yeah, man. And yeah, my boy old Gronk out there starting to pick things up a little bit,
Right.
man. 441 and a touchdown. So
3 in a
that's
row.
like top notch performance this year in tight end wise. So you'll take that all game.
Yeah, right.
And then I don't know. I thought I started Scotty Miller in some of my daily fantasy stuff, and he didn't do nothing. I thought he could have a decent game. And now look, Antonio Brown, I think, is playing this Sunday night against the Saints. So we'll see how he does, see what he can do. I know everybody scooped up him. So we'll see if old Brady can turn it around, I guess, start throwing a bunch of touchdowns, old AB. So we'll see what happens.
All right, folks. Hey, thanks a lot for listening. I know we ran over, but we had an awesome guest. Anthony Aniano killed it. Make sure you check him out. We'll try to post his, at least the link to the Rotoballer website for him. And we made it to 1,000 members on the Facebook page. That is great. Let's not stop here. Let's keep this train rolling. And obviously, beats are by Dunson as always. You got anything else, my man?
No, man, I'm just glad we can push it over 1,000. I guess the next step we'll try to get to 1,500 maybe by the end of the year. It might be setting some high goals, but hey, we can do it. Like you said, beats by Dunson. Check us out on any platform. Your main platforms are Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pandora. What else we got? Spotify. Yeah, I kind of forget them all now, but. Like we always say, it's harder not to listen than it is to listen. So, Yep. Figure us out on one. We'll be back next week. We'll try to, bring another guest on here and keep it rolling.
Thanks. Y'all are great. See you in a week.
All right, man. Take it easy.